This is the 11th session out of 24 complimentary or free sessions, as you would like to call it, for German A2 level. This is the agenda. You should have seen it because I posted it in the group. Let us start. So, disclaimer, this is the 11th session. We will have, I believe, 13 more sessions after this. Everything is free. If you want to join, if you happen to see a recording of it later, then you can just send me a hi at this email address, and I will send you the link with which you can join the sessions. So let's see if before I start the topic of today, let's do something simple. So the simple practice. So when do you eat? So if someone asks you this question, or if someone asks me this question, so I have two answers. I say at around 9 p.m. or when I am hungry, or I also say when I am getting bored, right? So when do you eat has two kinds of answers. So the first answer is they are asking your time. So 9 Uhr abends, so you check 9 Uhr abends, right? You can also say gegen, around. You can also say nach, after a specific time, or you can say vor, or you can say zwischen blah 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 time and blah 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 time. Now the other answer is you are giving a requirement, right? A condition. So when do you eat? If I say when I am hungry. Now when I want to give a requirement or a condition, so I use the wenn conjunction in German, right? Wenn. Do not confuse this with English when. It's different. So normally when you see the German when, it's not a good idea to always think of what is the counterpart in English. But if you do want to think of what is the English counterpart for German when, it is if. Okay, this is a good comparison. Now, so the first one is a time. The second one, you're giving a condition. So wenn ich hungrig bin. You already know this. When you use when, immediately after when you will have the subject. Normally, the second position we have verb, and here we have usually subject, and then or the subject is over here, or then you can have other things, right? But when you use when, what happens is that after when is at the first position, the second position is taken by the subject, then the verb goes to the very last position. Okay, so the verb goes to the very last position, and it will be, of course, verb will be conjugated, and here you can have adjective or adverb, or it can be an object. Okay, so let's say if you want to say when I am getting bored, so if you don't know what is the so when you're thinking of bored in German, so you should think of, so how do you say bored? It is langweilig. Langweilig is an adjective, so you can use it to talk about, the film is boring, the film is langweilig. You can also use it to describe, someone who you think is boring. So you can say, er ist langweilig. Or if you think you are boring, right? Sometimes it's also good to look at ourselves. So du bist langweilig. Or ich bin langweilig. So ich bin langweilig is talking about yourself. Now, what is the verb? So the verb is langweilen. But it is a reflexive verb, so you have sich. It's also good to know what kind of reflexive pronoun. So it's accusative pronoun. So if you want to say this, I am getting bored, so you will say ich langweile mich. Okay, I'm getting bored. If you want to say you are getting bored, so instead of du ich, it will be du. Instead of mich, it will be dich. Now, this is not the topic for today, but I just wanted to I just wanted to cover it. All right, so let's start. So you know this context, right? When. But then later we will also see there is this conjunction that is als. Sometimes people can get confused between when to use when and when to use als. They both are a conjunction, they both are giving condition, but als you use when you're talking about a one-time event. It can be something, for example, I believe most of you guys have been living in Germany for more than 1 year. So if you want to say the first time I came to Germany, let's say you did something, right? So there, if you want to say when I came to Germany, instead you should say als, or you can say when I turned 18, right? Everybody will turn 18 only once in their lives, right? So when you turn 18, there you should not use when, you should use als. You're talking about a one-time event. We will talk about it more. Let's carry. And the grammar rules remains. When you use als, Immediately after als, you will have the subject, and the verb will get pushed to the last position just before the full stop or before the comma, before the next punctuation is what I mean. Let us look at these three examples. So I relax when I listen to his songs. Again, I'm giving a condition. So I relax when I listen to songs. You can also say if, it's fine, you know. I get nervous if I have to speak German. I find it odd if I watch English movies with German audio. So how you will say the first one, I relax. Now to say to relax, you use the verb sich entspannen, and it is sich Akkusativ entspannen, right? To say listen, so it will be hören. What is songs? So you can just say songs, okay, the songs plural, or you can also say, you know, das Lied, or das Lied is singular, you have the leader, that is plural. His, so you will have to use sein. Right now, whether it is, so sein, now you're talking about something feminine, right? Not feminine, plural. So when it is plural, it can be seine or it can be seinen. Seine you use for nominative and accusative cases. Seinen you use for dative cases. Now here it will be accusative, so you will be using seine. I'll give you the complete answers on the next slide. Just want you to think or give you an approach how you can start thinking in German, you know, framing sentences in your head in German. How do you say I get nervous? So here you will have to, you are getting nervous, right? So if you remember the verb werden, right? So it can be used in different ways. One is that you talk about future. For example, if you want to say I read, or that is ich lese. If you want to say I will read, so you will say ich werde lesen. The other way to use werden is to say to get or to become. For example, if you want to say I get nervous, so here you will have to use werden for ich. Also, you can say I become a data engineer, right? If you're a data scientist, or the other way around. So ich werde data engineer, right? So to become or to get. Now when you use get, there is also this verb to get is bekommen, right? But bekommen and werden are different. When you use werden for to get, usually the object is a noun or it is an adjective, right? Bekommen, when you use, it is a noun, but it means to get something, you know, the act of receiving. Here to get, it means something else, right? So you know what I get nervous means, you're getting nervous. So there's a change in use. Here you will use werden. Then when I have to think of modal verb, which one? Müssen. Speak, you know, sprechen. But when you use modal verb and a verb, you only conjugate the modal verb, and you don't conjugate the other verb, you just use it in its infinitive form. German, you know, it is Deutsch. Again, check here where you will be using wenn, right? So when you use wenn, the conjugated verb müssen will get pushed to the last position. Sprechen will anyhow be at the last position, right? Because it will be in infinitive form. But the verb which was supposed to be at the second position will get pushed to the last position. It will be wenn ich Deutsch sprechen muss. Muss because müssen is muss for ich. Now I find it odd. I find, you know how to say this, ich finde it, es. You can say it to express your opinion, right? You can talk about events, weather, presentations, or whatever you want to have an opinion about, or how do you feel about it. So I find it odd. How do you say odd? You can also say odd as it is. People will know what you're trying to say, German speakers as well. You can also say strange. I have seen people below 20 use this quite often. It's a strange, but the better one will be merkwürdig, so the correct German word, or the accurate German word will be merkwürdig. Okay, I will recommend in the beginning you start using complicated German words. Then you can, as you become more and more, as you progress through the sessions, you can start speaking colloquial German. In the beginning, try to speak Hochdeutsch. Okay, now when I watch English movies with German audio, now this sentence looks complicated, but it is not. So you just have to say to watch. How do you say watch? Here the correct verb will be either anschauen try and wer, or just schauen. Now the object is movies, right? Movies, English movies, so Filme. Now you have to say English movies, so you will have to use the adjective or adverb English, but you will also need to know the ending, right? But what can you do to I mean, it is difficult. I mean, I have not provided you a trick to remember adjective endings for with no articles, but I have given you how to draw adjective endings for when there is an article, right? So instead of saying when I watch English movies, you can say something else, something similar where there is an article, right? With, so when you use with, if you remember last time we learned mit and ohne. So with, without, but with mit it is dative, with ohne it is accusative. So you will say with. How to say audio? You can just say audio, or you can say tone, but I think audio is correct, tone is also correct, but tone has other meanings as well. So tone can also mean volume. Okay, let's see, look at the answers. So here are the answers. Let me zoom in. So let's look at the first example. So I relax, ich entspanne mich. Entspannen has been conjugated for ich, that is ich, sorry, entspanne, right? And it has been at the second position. So the first sentence is nothing new, you know this. Mich is reflexive pronoun, so it is ich in accusative and as an object, so mich. Ich, mich, du, dich, er, es, sie, sich, ihr, euch, and then small sz, capital SZ, also sich. Wenn, so, or it can be if as well, guys. So if I, so here it is wenn, okay, wenn and not when. You should read it as wenn. For example, Bruce Wayne. Okay, I hope the spelling of Bruce Wayne is correct from Batman. Now, so you have when, and then immediately after when you have the subject, and the verb which was supposed to be here after the subject goes to the last position. So hören conjugated for ich becomes höre. And then you have the object leader and seine Lieder. Okay, seine because it is plural and accusative. It would have been seine also if it was nominative as well, right? But here it is accusative. If it was dative, it would have become seinen. Okay, so all right, let's look at the next example. I get nervous when I have to speak German. Now, so this you can say, I get nervous, ich werde nervös, werde, you will use the werden, conjugated for ich becomes werde, and nervös, okay, nervös. When I have to speak German, so wenn, okay, wenn, Bruce Wayne, wenn, ich, then immediately after this, you will not have the conjugated verb. So if there was no when, if you just want to say, I have to speak German, right, so you will say, ich muss Deutsch sprechen, ich muss Deutsch sprechen, but because you have wenn, the verb which was here after the subject, the conjugated verb, moves to the last position. Okay, so this initially sprechen would have been at the last position, but now it becomes second last because muss is at the last position, right? This one is infinitive form. All right, let's look at the next example. So I find it odd, ich finde es merkwürdig, right? Finden conjugated for ich becomes ich finde. So it is ich finde, du findest, er, sie findet, ihr findet, everything else finden. Now, when I watch English movies, so instead of saying, you know, here I have done a very drastic change, you know, just telling you, I mean, this is not one-to-one translation, right? Okay, but just telling you, try to avoid not using articles. So always use articles. This way you don't have to remember the adjective endings table for articles, right? So why do I say that? So when you use adjective endings, right, with articles, whenever it is feminine, the adjective ending is e. For dative, genitive, plural, the adjective ending is n. And this is a simple rule to remember. And Lieblingsfilme is plural, right? So meine ending. Again, not a good example. If you would, let's say, when ich, you can say when I watch the, so when ich die Englische, okay, and now it is accusative, not forget accusative, at the moment it is plural, so plural is Englischen, wenn ich die englischen Filme mit, now here I am using you know, mit, so here I'm not using any article, right? You just have to remember this In the next session, I will provide you a trick to remember the adjective endings when there are no articles. But for now, just accept it as Deutschem audio anschaue. Okay, check. Here it has been conjugated. Now, if there was no when, the sentence would have looked like ich schaue meine Lieblingsfilme mit deutschem Audio an. But because you are using when, the verb which was supposed to be here gets pushed to the last position, so it is just after an. You don't leave any space when it is like that. Okay, so anschaue. All right, I hope you could follow so far. Now let's look at these examples. So when I got my first salary, okay, you will not keep getting your first salary again. This happens once in a lifetime, right? When you get your first salary only once in your life. After that, it is second or third. So when I got my first salary, now if you want to say, you can say when, but it's not correct, right? Because if you say when I got when ich mein erstes Gehalt bekommen habe, it's just doesn't sound so good to someone who speaks German, because he or she will think, okay, this is a one-time event, and now he is using when. You should be using als. Okay, now I got my first salary. So here got is in past tense. So got is bekommen. We will try to write this sentence using participle zwei. So participle zwei of bekommen is also same bekommen, and the helping verb you will use over here is haben. Okay, haben is always used, most of the times used. You use sein only for special scenarios. One scenario is that whenever you are talking about a movement, for example, I flew to this country. Ich bin nach diesem Land geflogen. Okay, whenever there is a movement, when you wake up, when you sleep, whenever there is a change in phase. One other exception is the verb begegnen. Last time we spoke about it when we were discussing dative verbs. So begegnen means to encounter, but not what you may be thinking. So not with a gun. Okay, not with a gun. Encounter is to meet someone, or maybe to encounter some problem. Okay, so when you use begegnen with participle zwei, you will use the helping verb sein. Okay, this is an exception. Please remember this whenever you use this. So what about then you have salary, right? So salary is Gehalt. First is est. Now my will be mine. Now here it will be in accusative case. I told you, I just remember the list of dative verbs which you have. If you see any other verb which is not in this list, just assume that the first object will be accusative. So you can assume that here it will be accusative. Now accusative possessive article for neutrum is mine itself. It's mine. If it was masculine, accusative would have become meinen. If it was feminine, accusative would have stayed meine. But here it is feminine would have become meine, and so, but it is neutrum, so it is Gehalt. Sorry, neutrum, so it is mine. If it was Gehalt was masculine, it would have become meinen. Okay, having said that, now what about adjective ending for this one, right? So as I said, so here it will be so adjective ending for neutrum, okay, is always s. Adjective ending for neutrum is always s, except for bestimmte Artikel. Okay, whenever you have bestimmte Artikel, it is aa. But whenever you have any other article but an article, but which is not a bestimmte Artikel, adjective ending for neutrum will be a. So it is s. Okay, it is not a bestimmte Artikel, so it is s. If it was when I got the first salary, it would have been wann ich das erste. Okay, not estes. So I hope you could follow that. Now you have to use again, I bought a new car. Now to write this sentence, you can write it, right? But when you write this is the second sentence, right? Nebensatz. So here the first position will be taken by the verb, and then you will have the subject. Please remember this. Okay. And how will you write bought? So kaufen is buy. With participle zwei, you will have to use participle zwei of kaufen, so gekauft, and you will use the helping verb haben. If not sure which helping verb to use haben. Sein you use only when there is a movement. Okay, there is a change in state. Now a new laptop. So will be ein. Einen, it depends. So if laptop can be, some people think it is masculine, some people say it is neutrum. Let's go with masculine. So ein will be einen because accusative. Now neu is new is neu. Now here I told you. So it is en. You remember this, right? So if you draw this table, masculine, nominative, accusative, bestimmter Artikel, it is en. This much you remember, right? So here it is accusative, so en. Okay, einen. Now what about the second sentence? I'll give you the answers. Just stay with me. So when we won the project, again, you may be winning the project, like, but it's just like not once in a lifetime event, but it doesn't happen that often, right? So again, you can use wenn, but I think I will go with als. So als, we won. So the verb for to win is gewinnen, and participle zwei will be gewonnen. Okay. Got, so again bekommen, haben bekommen. Pay raise, so how do you say a pay raise in German? So it is Gehaltserhöhung. And you know the trick, whenever a noun ends with ong, you can be 99.99% sure that it is the feminine. Okay, now let's look at when I finished my master's. So you will be saying this quite often. When I finished my master's, you will say, when you're talking to people, when did you finish your master's, or when you are looking for a new job, or anyhow, let's say, especially if you have to introduce yourself quite often in your job, and you have to talk about your life in a brief manner, right? So here the most accurate verb, or the most widely used verb, is abschließen. Okay, we spoke about this last time, where we took schließen, and we saw how many different ways you can use schließen, right? So abschließen is to finish or to complete. Then you have this adjective or adverb, aufgeschlossen. It means open-minded or broad-minded. Now master's, so master studium, I felt so free. Now I felt so free, so the verb is sich, accusative, fühlen. Now you will be using participle zwei, right? So the participle zwei of fühlen is gefühlt. And you will, as I said, if you don't know what is the correct helping verb, always go with haben. Okay, so free. So you will use so. In English we say it's so. In German we say so free, so frei. Okay, let's look at the answers. Here are the answers. So als ich mein erstes Gehalt bekommen habe, check. After als you have subject, the verb which was supposed to be here goes to the last position. Okay, this is the conjugated. Bekommen is not infinitive. I apologize for this. This is participle zwei. Okay, just like here. So then what happens after this? In the next one, so sentence is I bought a new laptop. So if there was just this sentence, I bought a new laptop, starting after a full stop, you would have said ich habe ein neues Laptop gekauft. But here, because it is after a comma, the verb will be at the first position and the subject will be at the second position. So you need to change the position of the subject and the verb. Check, this is helping verb conjugated for what? For this subject, which is ich. Ein neues Laptop gekauft. When we won the project, als wir, the verb which was supposed to be here, goes here. Als wir das Projekt gewonnen haben, haben wir eine Gehaltserhöhung bekommen. Check here. Position of subject and the helping verb have been interchanged. When I finished my master's, als ich mein Masterstudium abgeschlossen habe, the habe which was supposed to be here, ich habe, goes to the last position because you have als over here. I felt so free, again check, it would be ich habe mich so frei gefühlt, but because it is after a comma or Nebensatz, so it is habe ich mich so frei gefühlt. Gefühlt is participle zwei of fühlen. This is a reflexive pronoun, so ich mich, du dich, sie, sich, ihr euch, small SC, capital SC, also sich. Having said all of that, so I think you know when to use when to use als. Let's just complete that thought process. So you use wenn, okay? So you use when for conditions and events that weren't or aren't one time. Notice how I say weren't or aren't. So you can use it for past and present events. Okay, that aren't or weren't aren't time. Future also you can use. We will talk about it how you can do that. What about als? So here it should be were. So use als for conditions and events that were one time. Here I'm not saying were or are. Okay, because you don't use als for present events, right? How do you know some event is happening for the first time, right? You may know, but the German grammar tells you that you use als only for past events only. Okay, I hope you don't mind my mistake. So it should be were. All right, let us continue. Now let's look at Relativsätze. What do they mean? I'll just give you a short introduction. So let's say you start with subject, verb, object, and then you want to continue talking about object, right? And this object, whatever it can be, this object can be the new subject or the new object of the sentence, right? For example, you can say I am the candidate you should hire for this job, right? So here the candidate, if you think here, right, so it's not this one. So yeah, so it is this one. So this candidate becomes what? This candidate becomes what in this sentence? Think about it. It is the object, it's not the subject, right? So you should have, because again, depending upon how you are looking at this sentence, I'm saying you, so you should hire you. And what is this you? This is this candidate. So it becomes the object. Now it can also become this, it can also become the subject. For example, if you want to say I am the candidate who is fit for this job. Now who is describing this candidate. Candidate was object in this sentence, but in this sentence it is the subject, right? Who is the fit for this job, right? Who. Now when it is subject, it is of course nominative, right? But if it is object, it can be accusative or it can be dative. How we will look at that. So these are Relativsätze. So these sentences like after comma, where the subject object of the where the object of first sentence becomes the subject or the object of the next sentence. This is my way of looking at it. Don't go by the theory, just see how you can use it in real life. So for some reason I decided to say talk in not so professional way for this topic. Let's see. So I am the guy who speaks German and English fluently. You can also say I am a person, or I am the person. I am the candidate who speaks German and English fluently. Now, how do you say I am the guy? You can say ich bin der Mensch, ich bin die Person. But when I'm saying this in a dramatic way. So I think here more appropriate will be that tube. I know you think tube means type. Yes, that is correct. But here when you say that tube, it means the guy, or it means it's a different way of saying, for example, let's say if you're gossiping about someone, and you want to say there is something wrong with him, so there you will hear that people will say etwas stimmt mit dem Typ nicht. Something is wrong with the guy, it's easier to understand when you watch German movies, or when you interact with Germans in closed circles. There you will hear this, so you will know why they are using Typ when Typ means type, but here it means something else. Now, so who speaks German and English fluently, right? So this guy speaks German and English fluently. So who is the subject, which was the object of the first sentence. Now I am the person whom you should hire. So whom, okay, yeah, so whom is this object of this sentence, right? Who is the subject? I think I did not explain very when I was telling you in the last slide, I believe, you should hire, there you was the subject, but the object was whom, which was I forgot to write. So I am the person whom you should hire. So the person becomes whom in this sentence, right? And whom is what? Object of this sentence, right? It was object here as well, it was object here as well. Now it is object, so it can be accusative or it can be dative. Now hire, the verb for hire, anyone, do you know? If you don't know, think about your phone. You have settings in your phone, right? Settings is Einstellung, right? So then there is also this verb einstellen. It means two things. It means to set, and something completely different, that is to hire. And it is trennbare verb, and it is accusative. It is not in our list of dative verbs, so the first object will be accusative. So object will be in accusative case. Now the next sentence is, I am the best candidate who can help your company. So the best candidate is who. Here it was object. Here it becomes the subject of the sentence, right? Who can help your company? You are the guy whom I will help. The guy is whom I will help. And here it is object. But you are using help, right? And you know helfen is in our list of dative verbs. So object will be dative. Let's look at the answer. So I am the guy, I am the guy who speaks German and English fluently. Ich bin der Typ. Okay. Here, whenever you are using sein, object and subject, they both are in nominative cases. Der, okay, der. So der Typ, der fließend Deutsch und Englisch spricht. So who is now subject? It is in our nominative, so der, right? If let's say you want to say I am the woman who speaks German and English fluently, so you will say ich bin die Frau, die fließend Deutsch und Englisch spricht. I am the person whom you should hire, right? Also notice here the verb, it goes to the last position. Okay, please note, remember this when you are writing Relativsätze, the verb goes to the last position. I am the person whom you should hire. Ich bin die Person. Here the person is an accusative, but it doesn't make any difference because the person is feminine, and feminine in accusative and plural in nominative and accusative, they remain the, right? The change only happens in dative. The becomes there, but here it doesn't matter. Now whom you should hire, so this den, right? So sie einstellen sollen, so sie sollen den einstellen. So what happens is den is here, then you have the subject, and then you can have the verbs. Okay, so what exactly is happening in these sentences? I hope you could follow. I am the best candidate who can help your company. So ich bin die beste Kandidatin. I assume you are a woman, so ich bin die beste Kandidatin. Again, it is nominative because bin, sein, who, die, die can help your company. Here it is the subject, die eurem Unternehmen helfen kann. Okay, die eurem Unternehmen helfen kann. Check in the second sentence whether the object from, so here in this sentence, right, the guy becomes the subject of this sentence. Even then it is here at the first position. I am the person whom you should hire. Whom is now the object of the second sentence. Still it is at this over here, right? So in Relativsätze or in relative sentences, the object of the first sentence, whatever pronoun you use for it over here in the second sentence, it will be here. Doesn't matter it is subject or object. So for example, here die eurem Unternehmen helfen kann. Here die is the subject, right? Only thing you need to remember is that the verb goes to the last position. Let's look at, so check here. You are the guy whom I will help. So du bist der Typ. Here dem, right? So the guy now becomes the object of the second sentence, but it is, you're using helfen. And helfen, as we know, when you use helfen, the first object itself is dative. So dem. Dem ich helfen werde. The verb is at the last position. I will, so I will help. I hope you could follow this much. Try writing sentences, like relative sentences where you say one sentence and then you want to talk. So you say sentence one, right, where you have subject, verb, object. Then after comma, you want to say more things about the object, then the object, whatever this object becomes in the next sentence, it can be the subject or it can be the object. It will anyhow be at the first position after the comma, right? And then you can have other things at the last position. You will have the new verb. Okay, I hope you could follow. Special pronouns, I think it's, you know this already. So one, jemand, niemand. Man means one. You say one must do this, one must not do that. Someone, no one. Now, these are nominative cases, but you also have accusative and dative cases for jemand, niemand. So jemanden, niemanden, accusative cases. Niemandem, nima. So jemandem, niemandem, dative cases. But what I want to say is that the endings are not that important. Okay, at least. So also in accusative you can use niemand, jemand. No one is going to point out you, like, bother you, but be careful when you go to dative part. Okay. Then you have alles, etwas, nichts. Again, these are, you can use them as pronouns. Okay. So when you use them, make sure the verb you conjugate for third party singular. So if you want to say uh, everything is free, right? So everything, alles, free is okay, when I say free, I mean like no money involved, so cost and loss. Right now the verb that you will use is sein, right? So sein you conjugate for third party singular, that is ist, right? Or if you want to say, something is wrong, so etwas stimmt nicht. Or you want to say something is missing, so something is missing, the verb is fehlen, missing. So something, etwas. Now you conjugate fehlen for third party singular, that is er, es, or sie, so it is etwas failed. The same as for nichts. Okay, so if you want to say nothing is free, so nichts is kostenlos. So when using alles, etwas, or nichts as nouns, treat them, or pronouns, and when you treat them as singular pronouns. This is the vocabulary that you should know. I believe you are doing this every day, so I think your page will look much more dense than my page. So let's play some game, so you can tell me what they mean. So just if you happen to join the session for the first time, or if you're watching recording of it later on YouTube, so what you do is every day, so you buy a notebook, preferably blank notebook, and with blank pages, and then every day you divide a page into 4 parts. In the first part you write new nouns or nouns that you need for daily life. Second column verbs. Third column adjectives, adverbs. Fourth column it can be phrases. For example, here jemandem die Daumen drücken, so it means to cross fingers for someone, or to wish, pray for someone, to wish good luck to someone. Zusammen an etwas arbeiten, it means what it means. So there is nothing, it's not an idiom, it means just to work together on something. Wir arbeiten an dem Projekt zusammen. And let's look at the verbs. So you have einziehen, ausziehen, umziehen, anziehen, wegziehen. Einziehen means to move in a house. Ausziehen means to move out of a house. Umziehen means to change your place, move from one place to another. Anziehen means something else. Anziehen, for example, you have this statement, my favorite. So Eisen, not Eisen. Magnet. Also, you have, I have just highlighted them in purple, right? That means these are prefix and they are separable, meaning these are trennbare verbs. So magnet, sieht, Eisen an, you should know what then this means. So magnet is magnet, Eisen is iron. What I'm saying is that magnet attracts iron. So here anziehen means completely different. But then you have sich anziehen, right? Sich accusative anziehen, it means something else. It means to get dressed. Not dressed, but to dressed will be sich accusative umziehen. Okay, sich accusative umziehen will be to get dressed. Sich accusative anziehen will be to wear something. Okay, then you have wegziehen, it means to move away. Then you have brauchen, benötigen. Brauchen usually means require, I believe, and benötigen means need. Okay, please go through it. Please see if you know the meanings of them, and just write, and then see if you've guessed the right meaning in leo.org. Before I do that, let's see if you can tell me what is drucken and ausdrucken. So drucken is to print, I believe. Drucken is to push, and ausdrucken is to express, right? All right, I think I'm done for today's session. If you have any questions, please ask. I will stay in the call. See if you can follow this advice. I can help you with it. Just write me an email once you start doing this every day or every second day. Thank you very much for listening.